Never a journalist, never a journalistic seismograph, Nate was a lightning rod, and I will miss him. I would like to introduce our first speaker, Nate's niece and goddaughter, Amanda Thayer Heidenberger.
Thanks so much. You pronounced my last name right.
Oh, one for one.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda. I'm Rob's daughter and Nate's goddaughter. We're so grateful to see everybody in this room and so grateful to those of you who joined online to celebrate my uncle's life. We have so many amazing people lined up to share memories of my uncle as a friend and as a colleague. So I'm really here to speak on behalf of the family and especially from the perspective of the generation of his nieces and nephews, 5 of us in total, whose childhoods he was a big part of. Nate, or Ninong, as the nieces and nephews called him, was the definition of a fun uncle. I was the oldest of the bunch and spent my first 10 years growing up in Thailand and Cambodia during the same time that Nate was there, so he was a really big presence in my early days. Those specific memories of him during my most youngest years are a little fuzzy. I remember his unmistakable presence with crystal clarity. A gruff and enthusiastic, "Hi, sweetie," being quite.
Thank you for that family and for friends, for other people I didn't know their name. I'm here today to thank for that and thank you for everyone for your attendance here today. My name is Ben Bundap. I'm the Executive Director of the Dega Central Highland Organization. I'm here to present the Dega people to pay respect, love, and to thank Mr. Ned Taylor. We are here today to remember and celebrate Mr. Ned because he was a very good man and loved the Foro Army so much. I am a Foro soldier. I was very young when I saw him. He had camera crew and interviewed my leader, Ipanyun and Ihine, along with some of his officers or the deal discuss what should be done to make decision for us.
I have this over here.
Ned Taylor asked Mr. Ipanyun, what come to your mind next? Do you want to continue to fight here or you want to go to third country to save your people? Colonel Yun and other leaders said if they had proof that Emmanuel was in there, they would consider to go to USA. But if when we go to another country, our resistance will continue until we get back the land that belongs to us. Yun said, I don't want to go to free nation. He added, I want to stay here because this is my battlefield, this is my responsibility, but I have no supply or help from free country.
Right here.
1 week after we met, the United Nations peacekeeping came over to protect us from the Vietnam troops who were coming to destroy us. Ned Taylor requests the United States to give us support and supply to our military to help our troops to defend themselves, so we continue to fight for our freedom. To respond, that request was negative. They give us only one condition to drop our weapon and get to another third country. Next said, I continue to connect with the Special Force and the Green Beret for the sponsorship. It would not take that long. Just 2 days after that we have answered. After a couple of days, they accept the Foro to go to the United States. And there are helicopters come to pick us to the Phnom Penh. In October 1992, the State Department and UNHCR came to file our paperwork. 1 week after, we already got IOM paid we will go to the United States of America. Nat used his all power to let the world to know that the Dega people were abandoned for a long time. No one came to help the Dega follow in the jungle. Mr. Nat opened his heart, rescued us from the danger place, and reset us to the new way of life. We Dega very much respect for him because he is the great man to us. He is saved 400 men and women and children. When we arrived in the USA, Mr. Panyun had problem and passed away on November 2007. I established the Dega Central Highland Organization to continue his legacy of his dream to fight for freedom to the Dega people in the Central Highland of Vietnam. The Dega people are suffering greatly under Vietnam persecution and genocide. Recently on Easter week this year, the Vietnam police used excessive force against the Dega men and women and children. They guard the pastor everywhere they're going, arrest them if they go to another villages for the Easter celebration. Last week on April 2023, the Dega people stood up for protest in the valley of the Buôn Ma Thuột. The Vietnam have been sent the police troops to stop the people protest peacefully, but Vietnam government sent 100 of the police and us were against them like criminal. Many men, Dega men and women and children got beat up and even missing. This is happened to everywhere in the Central Highland. Our land have been taken away and we are pushing to the rocky and unpleasant place in our country. There are more than 1,000 Dega refugees in Thailand. Most of them have been stuck in there 15 to 17 years because up to this point, the United States has shut the door on the Dega refugees. We hope and we ask the United States government to rescue them. We keep asking the government of the United States to not abandon us anymore. We do our best to report it and all activity and event that happen to our people to the State Department, the United States, the United States nation, and everywhere possible to ask for help. We wish that there are more angels like Mr. Nat here who have the heart to Dega people. Thank you. Thank you for
a communist sympathizer and a hopeless drunk, but I have never been called a cream puff, and I resent it. Despite the black humor and the bravado, underneath, Nate had a soft heart, and those of us who got to see that side of him really had a treasure. I want to tell you a story that shows this side of Nate. In one of the last exchanges with me, Nate texted me with amazing news. A Montagnard refugee he tried to help some 20 years earlier, who he had long feared had been in prison and was possibly dead, had just made contact with him. It was an emotional reunion, and Nate shared the text exchange between himself and the Montagnard, who to basically thank Nate for sheltering him those many years before, and to tell him that he was now safe. And Nate was sort of overcome with emotion, and I think the fellow whose name is Evian Malo, and he's our next speaker, mostly wanted to thank Nate, that Nate was feeling, had felt quite haunted for years about this particular situation, because he had sheltered the Montefiore at the Phnom Penh Post offices for months, while the UN sort of adjudicated Dion's refugee claim. But ultimately, the UN rejected his claim for asylum, and the Montefiore was forced to go back to Vietnam. So, the exchange, it was quite emotional. Nate said he was crying as he wrote back and forth with the person who was so relieved that the person was safe, but still sort of overcome with this horrible feeling of, after some months, having to sort of a tearful goodbye with the fellow who we never saw again. That's a side of Nate that many of us didn't often see, and I think that despite the bravado and all the things that people say about Nate as kind of a cowboy, for sure, he had a soft heart, and for sure, despite his fame, he never forgot many of the, quote, unfamous people he met over the years. Farewell, Nate. Thank you for giving voice to people who otherwise would remain forgotten by the world. You will not be forgotten, my friend. Thank you.
Good morning. It's a real privilege to be here today. Nathaniel Thayer was one of my best friends, like many of you. In 1984, I was working for the United Nations Border Relief Operation, and I noticed that someone had come in Site 1 after the evacuation of Ampul refugee camp, about 47,000 people, a lot of shell fire, right up to the tank ditch, we call it. It's a 5 meter by 5 meter deep ditch dug by the Thai government along the Wat Na Plains, about 450 kilometers, to stop a Vietnamese invasion. So no refugee could cross it without their permission. So I'd come up there and we'd set up the water tanks, and I noticed over by the hospital tent that it was Stephen Hedder's old motorcycle. And I said, but he left. Hedder's not here anymore. And I know that Hedder had given his bike because it wasn't worth even 2 pennies to rub together. He'd given it to Michael Shankman. I said, but Shankman would never drive the motorcycle from Aranyupatet to Topside. That's like a 3-hour